I've always said I can take a shovel and dig an irrigation ditch, or I could bash someone in the skull with it. It doesn't really, it's the same tool, just used for different purposes. And the issue that I really see with AI is so many folks are rushing into it so fast that they're not taking the time to understand the implications. And the other issue too is that the market has deemed this stuff to be artificial intelligence when none of it is. It's machine learning and applied mathematics. So that skews the actual usage, and that is a problem. People are expecting this stuff to figure out on its own. Oh, I shouldn't do X and Y and Z. No, it's a computer program that has limitations and will do whatever you tell it to do. So there's a lot of tightrope walking that needs to go on now, and we're not doing a very good job of walking the tightrope.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Chase Cunningham. You are one of the specialists when it comes to zero trust. You have a ton of experience. You've worked for the NSA, the Navy. You've been advisor to almost everybody that's around. You're also the host of the Dr. Zero Trust podcast, where you give a weekly-ish update on everything that's going on in the world of cyber. You're very busy. You live and breathe this stuff, and you're also getting ready for RSA, obviously, which is coming our way. So thank you so much for your time today. I know how much or how little time you have, so I really appreciate that you give some of it to me. How are you doing today?
Good. It's allergy season here in Virginia, so like every 5 seconds, I'm either sneezing or sniffling or something.
That's okay. That's okay. I mean, we know people that follow you and listen to your podcast know that you are not afraid to share about your own health journey from time to time. You had some examinations done recently. I hope everything went well.
Yeah, that one came out fine. So that's a good bit of good news.
Good. Now, awesome. Now, you are somebody that, like people like myself that follow you, know that you post a lot, you share a lot of insights. And one that stood out for me, I think you posted this over a month ago, but a lot of people seem to resonate with that, is that you posted about like, hey, don't call yourself a poser or an imposter. You might just be in the cyber industry out of your comfort zone. And a lot of us that work in cyber always feel like, we're always just chasing what's out there. We feel like we never know what you know. And the reality is there is no comfort zone in cybersecurity. I want to use that as a segue to ask you a question about the state of the industry. There's something that I'll share with you that can bug me when I look at all the companies out there, all the vendors that are building, technologies. When zero trust a number of years ago became a buzzword for the first time, to me it felt, and I'd love to get your perspective on that a lot of vendors said all of a sudden like, oh, well, zero trust really means XYZ. And you know what? That's exactly what we've been doing forever. So if you're looking for zero trust, look no further. We have you covered. Is that something that you agree with? Does that bug you as well?
It bugs me in the way that people manipulate the reality of the value proposition for the purposes of selling software, because that I think hurts the overall initiative. But on the scale of, is it a problem? I think it's good that we have enough buzz behind it, that there's been a market created, that there is people investing billions of dollars to do this type of thing. But it can get problematic, and it does give people that don't have a really good strategy that are trying to sell software something to latch onto, which can kind of degrade its value proposition.
Yeah, because we see then organizations build, quote unquote, the wrong strategy, whether or not they realize that, because they have their relationships, they have their history of certain vendors. How hard for you is that, as a specialist that is asked to advise on these strategies and plans, to overcome that that built-in history relationship with certain players, and getting people to think outside of the box they created for themselves?
Yeah, it can be a little bit difficult, because you do get folks that are kind of they're like horses with blinders on. They're just focused on, this is, I have to have X and I have to have Y, and I spend the majority of my time with them trying to talk them out of kind of technology focus, more just drive on what it's going to do and where they can use it, and if it is going to actually benefit the outcome they're looking for. And It's interesting when you get people to think from, let's start from success and work our way backwards instead of where we are now and trying to get there.
ZeroTrust is going to be a big thing at RSA. It's going to happen as we're talking 2 weeks from now. There's a lot to look forward to. Just to kind of, we have to address this because you've posted about it a few times. We will see you there, but people might not recognize you the first time.
Yeah, I lost a bet. Yeah, I lost a bet for a good reason. So we donated a pretty good chunk of money to charity. I didn't, just because I've tried to raise money in the past. I never thought anyone would actually, line up and donate. And sure enough, Jay and John made it happen. So I will live up to my end of the bargain and run around Moscone dressed up in a wrestler outfit.
And you've been heavy at the gym as well, working out to get that
I'm hitting it hard,
filled out.
I can't go in there and look like a slacker, right? I've got to at least look the part. So I'm in the gym doing 2-a-days right now.
Wow. All right. Well, so that's not the only thing we can look forward to at RSA. It's definitely something that we should look forward to. But we want to see, obviously, a lot of interesting new content and development. And then there's the one thing that everybody has been talking about for the last 18 months is how, AI and specifically Gen AI is impacting security, both on the attacker side and the defender side. I was talking in a conversation like this a few weeks ago with a distinguished architect for enterprise protection at TD Bank. And she said, she's somebody that's always been extremely excited about new technology. And she said, this is the first time that I'm scared of technology, because what she sees or what she feels is that Gen AI is helping the bad guys more than the good guys at this time. I know that you've spoken a lot in detail about issues that have been uncovered that you've seen. Microsoft's Copilot is one of them that has been in the news in the last few weeks. What's your take on that?
I think it's like every other piece of technology that we've had throughout the course of history, right? Anything can be used for whatever purpose somebody really focuses in on. I've always said I can take a shovel and dig an irrigation ditch, or I could bash someone in the skull with it. It doesn't really, it's the same tool, just used for different purposes. And the issue that I really see with AI is so many folks are rushing into it so fast that they're not taking the time to understand the implications. And the other issue too is that the market has deemed this stuff to be artificial intelligence when none of it is. It's machine learning and applied mathematics. So that skews the actual usage, and that is a problem. People are expecting this stuff to figure out on its own. Oh, I shouldn't do X and Y and Z. No, it's a computer program that has limitations and will do whatever you tell it to do. So there's a lot of tightrope walking that needs to go on now, and we're not doing a very good job of walking the tightrope.
Yeah. Do you fear that with security teams, and specifically, security leaders like CISOs have been ridiculously under pressure? We know that in North America, CISO usually doesn't last longer than 24 months in role. Do you fear that the immediate impact of Gen AI tools and security coming into the world, that even more is expected with less, and that these teams are going to be put under more pressure?
I think it's going to be a little bit of an uphill battle for probably the next 18 months or so, maybe even 2 years. But I think on the far end of this, where we're going to see is that there's going to be an optimization of the human capital we have, because if you use these tools correctly, you can staff up a SOC or an operations center with 2 or 3 or 4 people where you used to have 15 to 20. I fundamentally don't think that we have a human capital crisis in cyber. I think we've been doing it wrong, and the market has created some of that kind of, nuance that says that that's there. But if we use these tools correctly, we can basically eliminate that issue that we face. And that's where I think it'll wind up in the far end of it. But we're going to be climbing up the hill for a bit.
You kind of brought it back to, where we started with, hey, that comment that I thought was really interesting that you made about that imposter imposter syndrome. And that might be a blocker for people to really go in. I think you said in one of your comments, hey, I don't care if you're new or super experienced. We just need people that are willing to jump in. Is that where these AI tools, you said the AI tools might help us, fix that issue? Have you seen some best practices with the companies that you work with that are doing it well that others can learn from?
Yeah, I think I really think that that's part of the problem, right? Is we've created this narrative that you have to have, unicorn people, right? Folks that were former military and ex-CIA and whatever else. When in reality, the majority of the stuff you need to do to staff up the SOC roles, which is the operational side, you can take people from anywhere. I literally recently just helped some folks hire people to do work. None of them were cyber people, but they all had interests, they all had a desire, and they all showed that they could solve problems. So there they go. Now, to your point, I think as these tools become better and as they become more operationally focused, that you're going to be able to get in there and go, look, what used to take me 9 months to train somebody on sitting on pause, I can now get them operational in 30 days. And that's going to be where things really change the game.
So with all that in mind, and then knowing the wish list that you shared for like things that you're really excited about to see at our, now I know obviously that you're very close with a number of players in the market, so you have probably already good understanding of what's going to be available. But if we turn that around, like what would be the biggest miss for RSA at this point if something is not really talked about?
Yeah, I think if we don't see the growth of the implementation side of strategy, ZT and those types of things, and we don't have a lot of vendors that are starting to move away from we are the push button for this stuff, then I don't think we're doing ourselves the service. And I hope everybody understands that. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, got it.